Good morning. This is Cosimo Marraffa Training Academy, and today we continue our session of podcasts. We have a special guest from India. Kalpesh Raichura, just tell us, who are you, where you're from, what you're doing?
Great. Thank you, everyone. Good morning, and thank you, Cosima, for having me here on this podcast. My name is Kalpesh Raichura. I am a leadership coach. I hail from Pune, India, and yeah, that's who I am. I've worked in the industry for about 27 years, and currently I'm working with the senior corporate leaders, helping them to create ease and flow into their lives. So that's what I do. Uh, I have a beautiful wife and a 15-year-old daughter, and life is good.
Love it. Um, Perfect. So let's kick off this podcast with our first question. We know all, we appreciate our life, and I love this Indian style of appreciating everything. Um, but was there some crisis in the last time that you say, "Oh, this was a big thing for me that I could overcome"?
Uh, I think it was not in the recent past for sure, and not that I would say crisis, but I've gone through my phase and my corporate challenges, Cosimo. So I think this was way back in 2007, and you know the whole thing was I have somewhere always believed in ethics, and I always wanted to stand up by doing what's right, and refraining or not getting into something which is messy, or keep that out. There was a situation in my career where there was something which was unethical happening in the particular business area that I was in, and I was a junior. I was reporting to leaders upwards, and somewhere I thought I should stand by it, and I voiced it out. And well, that did not go the right way. And it was a situation where either I go along with what's happening, or I can make a call of what's good for myself. And I made a choice to move out of that organization. While I did that, I did have my own insecurities, and I did have my own challenges of what will I do next, how will I go back in the industry, will I be accepted, not accepted, did I do it right, should I have not done it. A lot of those questions and those crises you know did rise up. But I think the what kept me going uh, is my faith, my belief. I believe in the supreme power, the universe, and I knew what I was doing was right. So my gut somewhere was clear that no, what I did was appropriate, and I don't fit along. I don't fit along. Move out. So that's one thing which I recall, which was like a crisis or something that put me and my family in a spot, because you get to into a situation where then you have to deal with what will you do for career, how would you earn your bread and butter, what will people say, and those kind of things. So yeah, that's something that's happened to me.
Wow, thank you for sharing and for bringing this up. And we are very, very happy with you that you had this thing that helped you to overcome your crisis. Um, Everybody who is used to come to this podcast knows about the 6 Ds. And if you are the first time on this podcast, I will just start with the frame so you know what we are going to do right now. The podcast, we frame it in the 6 Ds. In the 60s, we will ask now Kalpesh what's his big desire, what he wants to decide about it, how he formulates his declaration, how he devotes to it, how he develops, how he updates, and how his big picture is when he delivers his desire. So let's kick this off, and Kalpesh, just tell us, what is one of your big desires for the future, for yourself, for our listeners, for the world?
Thank you. Thank you for asking that question. I love the way you've put that structure of 6 Ds. Uh, and let me get started with the desire. Uh, way back in my career, Cosimo, when I was just in my 20s and I was starting to work, one of the things that I learned and which probably I associated myself with that was that any place you go, can you make that place better than it was before you stepped in there? Now, it can be in regards to the physical ambience, it can be with regards to the aura, the energy, it can be with regards to the positiveness, it can be about the happiness. So the whole, and that's something that got stuck with me. And hence, wherever I am going or whatever I'm doing, my intention is, can I make that 1% better than what it was before I stepped in? The philosophy or the desire that I have in this life is that, yeah, I know I'm one of the 8 billion people on this universe, and with whatever things are happening, but can I make this entire experience 1% better for the people that I touch, or the people that I work with, or people that listen to me? And if I can make that 1% ease and flow, 1% improvement, 1% of different perspective of looking at things, or add that one dimension into their life, which can create a little more happiness, a little more healthy relationships, a little more improvement in their own performance, I think I've achieved it.
Love it. Sounds very touching. For me, as a European, sometimes we are more focused on quality and on doing the right things. And so this sounds to me something like yeah, wholeness for the whole community. And the second D question would be, what's your decision you took to accomplish this? What decision do you suggest to a listener today who maybe thinks, hey, it's a good idea, I want to take this for my life?
So the decision that I took, I think the biggest decision I took, Cosimo, was when I decided to move from the corporate world that I was in. So I enjoyed my work. In my last organization that I was in, I was handling the responsibility of driving process management competency and business management competency for about 89,000 people. So I was handling that role and position to design, deliver, execute, control the entire spectrum for the entire TCS VPS. And during that entire cycle, the whole thought was, if I'm enjoying it doing within one organization, if I take this experience outside and look at contributing to the larger masses of people or working with influencers who can then take this experience to their organizations, I think that would be a beautiful value add or a purpose to what I'm already doing. And that's where about 6 years back I stepped into leadership coaching and training. And in the last 6 years, I've done 1,000 plus hours of coaching. I've trained about more than 10,000 senior professionals. And during that journey, the entire experience is, you know, rather than stressing them out and giving them larger pictures and this is what you got to do and you have to do it, can I just make it simpler that, okay, what do you want to do? How do you want to do it? What are the barriers? Can we work together to help you bridge those gaps? And yeah, some people might bridge that gap in 6 months, some people may take 2 years, and that's okay. We all have our races and we all have our paces. And we run at our own pace. I can't compete with somebody else and somebody else shouldn't compete with me. So the decision is can I handhold you? Can I be there to listen to you, guide you, mentor you, coach you when you need that the most to excel or to move forward inch by inch in your journey? And I think that's the decision I've taken, and this is where I am. So all that I do right now is to look at enhancing that quality of life, enhancing that that rhythm, that harmony uh, in your corporate, in your personal lives, in your health, wherever it be, help you just move to the next level, move to the next level, move to the next level. That's what I do.
Okay. Wow. Interesting. Thank you for sharing. And the third D is about after you decided and you decide the declaration about it. Company have this thing called mission statement or vision statement, or what is your declaration about this desire you have?
It may sound funny, Cosimo, but I'll share this. I don't have a very clear purpose statement or a vision statement or a mission statement. I have tried making it many a times, but I am still not very convinced with, or I've not been able to frame that in one line or two lines. But I'll tell you, I'll share with you what I'm clear about. So what I'm very clear with regards to my declaration, and this is what I tell to people in my life or people that I work. I never give up on my clients or people around me. So my biggest value or mantra or karma or whatever you call it, or the mission is that I'll always stand by you. So if you've been associated with me, whether in form of a friend, a relative, a client, a trainee, count me that I will always stand by you and I will never give up on you. So my relationship with my people, with my clients, does not begin and end with a contract. It may start when we connect and when we want to work with each other, and then that remains. Yeah, of course, we may have an active contract, we may not have an active contract, but if you reach out to me and you have something that you want to discuss about, I'm not going to say, okay, this is what I charge per hour, please pay me first, and then I come on the call. No, you need my help, you need somebody to talk to. Here I am. Let's talk. And I've been blessed in so many years, Cosimo, that you know I didn't even realize of the contribution that I was making. About 2 weeks back, I was sitting with my father, and he's 77 years old, and we were just having a family discussion over a cup of tea, and some conversations happened where somebody had shared in the family on how having a conversation with me helped them save their relationship. And my father, for the first time in 77 years, he told me, he told my wife, we know Kalpesh, he has saved so many relationships, so many lives, that we don't even have a count about. And I was shocked. And then in that discussion, when it started coming out, there were so many instances that we could recollect where how I stood for one of my cousins, how I stood for somebody in the family who was going through a tough time, how I could support one of my friends, how I could support team members when I was in the organization. And there were so many of those instances where, the purpose or the vision that I'm sharing that, I'll always stand by you. It's like I'm there for you. If there's nobody else around, just turn back and look, I'm still there. I am I'm blessed that I do not hold a grudge against anyone. I have I've reached or I've never had I may have had arguments or decisions or some things that may have been liked, not liked, worked or not worked with people. But I think it was always known that this is in the best interest of what we're doing at that time, but nothing personal. And and that space, that clearing that I can create for people to be around with me, I think that's my declaration. That you connected with me, I'm always there with you. I'm always stand, and you can count on me.
Thank you. Thank you. I think that's nice. So we are connected. We are connected in this podcast, and I think at the end there will be some gift, and maybe there is something we can really make this a reality. Um, the fourth D is about the devotion, the action steps we do. So, what are your action steps, and what do you suggest to the listeners to act on if this desire seems to be something they want to do their own?
I think one of my biggest devotions with regards to this, Cosimo, has, when I say that I'm available, it's not just a fancy thing to say. Uh, when I say I'm available, I know that people who've either called me or messaged me, I may have taken or not taken their call at that time, but I have always gotten back to them. They know that even one missed call or one information that we've passed on to Kalpesh, it will come back. So one of my biggest devotions or the actions is the way I have structured myself is where I make myself available, my time available with whatever I'm doing. I will always have that time to go back and help and hear out what you want to share or what you want to speak. Uh, so it, and therefore the kind of structure that I'm putting across, the kind of work that I'm doing, or the way I I think the way I take my assignments, I buffer in all of this time that I've given to my people. And if I've committed that I'm going to be with you, I'm going to speak with you, most of the times I make sure that I'm there. And if I'm not there, there is an information or there's a reschedule that I do before I do it or I don't do it. So that devotion, or that way of scheduling myself or making myself available. The second thing that I have done as a part of that devotion is any conversation that you're having with me, Cosimo, I try and make sure that that's safe. You experience a safe space for you to be open and honest, completely non-judgmental and completely non-threatening. So the conversation that I've had, many people in the first call, in the first 15 minutes, have been able to just open up about everything that they are dealing with, or where they are, their ups and their lows. It doesn't always have to be the low part and something they're struggling with, but also the happiness, the accomplishments. And they've shared that, we really felt that connection, that being connected with you, where we could actually open up and share something that we've probably not felt comfortable sharing with anyone else. Where people have shared about their personal achievements, their personal desires, their dreams, their their future that they want to create, or maybe even their struggles or their pains or something that holds them back. Creating that safe space, non-judgmental, non-threatening, I think is the other thing that I've learned, I've practiced with all the skills and trainings that we do to ensure that that's something that people experience when they're around. Uh, and yeah, maybe if I want to ask people as a takeaway, that if you can take away something, one of the most beautiful thing that I say is the gift of listening. So if you're with your spouse, your children, your team members, your stakeholders, your bosses, your community people, be at church, be at home, wherever you are, can you give that gift of listening to the other person in a holistic manner where you're just not listening while you're doing something on your mobile, or you're watching a game and you're listening to them, or you're reading a newspaper and you're talking to them, or you're thinking 10 different things in your head while it seems that you're looking at them and talking to them. No, can you just be there with that person, be it online, be it offline, be it on telephone, be it wherever, and give yourself, like give your listening to that person, because I think that's the biggest gift that we can give. And yeah, there is a gift which is coming by the end of this podcast, and I'll share about more details by the end of this podcast.
Love it. Perfect. Um, these action steps, they seem so perfect to me. Um, and in reality, there is this thing of never ending improving or developing. What's the fifth D? So how do you develop? Do you update when you see there is something new coming up that you need to adapt? How do you bring this forward? What is your develop strategy?
Great. Cosimo, I loved what you said, that there's never enough improvement. Okay. I just reword saying that we are always evolving. So more than saying improvement, because it sounds okay, I'm not perfect the way I am, and hence I need to improve. I just rephrase that to I'm ever evolving. The ecosystem is evolving. The the books that we read are evolving. The technology is evolving, and hence we as human beings we evolve. And I am completely in presence that there is still a lot more that I need to evolve. Right. So current, to keep doing this better, to keep doing this with more and more people, I don't go and do 10,000 different courses or read 5,000 different books. What I do is, in principle, if I've picked up one book to read, I will pick up one chapter, read that. If I've liked that chapter, I will look at what do I need to do in my life to actually implement that change. Once I have done that, I tried, experimented, done that, I would move into the second chapter. And maybe if required, I'll reread that book for 10 times till the time I'm like completely in sync with the values or with the learnings I want to take from that, and bring that into my life. Similar for some TED Talks or some speakers that I would have heard. I'll give you an example. So one of the first books that I got introduced and I really fell in love with was The Magic of Thinking Big. I think I read this book for the first time when I was about 24, 25, which is about 25 years back. I read that book, and and that's when I learned about how do you bring that into your life? So, for example, the second chapter, which starts with talking about four different kind of excuses that people give. The chapter's name is Excusitis. And I learned how different excuses, with sometimes related to time, sometimes with health, sometimes with intelligence, sometimes with there are different kind of excuses that we keep building around ourselves. And that's something that we build. I have tried to catch myself on which are the instances and for what are the reasons that I build excuses. If I have to refine that, I will, in the world of positive intelligence coaching that I do, it's the judgments. What are the judgments that I hold for myself, or what are the reasons that I give that I when I can do something or I don't do something? Can I look at getting myself above those excuses and take responsibility and accountability for what I'm supposed to do? Linking that to the corporate culture that I'm working on, Cosimo, where I work with senior leadership teams. There's one mantra which I tell them on developing. Can you develop your culture into being proactive rather than being reactive? And if if you just develop the practice of being proactive rather than reactive, I think 90 to 95% of the stress levels that are there in the organization, 90 to 95% of people feeling that guilt or not going into an open conversation or trying to hide information or trying to just do a workaround will probably all go away. Because if you've assigned some work to somebody and you can be proactive, do you have enough skills and competency and resources to deliver that open conversation? If I want that to be done in a time frame of 3 days, do you think that's an enough time frame? Do you have anything else which is on your plate that needs attention? Open conversation, proactiveness. The culture today, and at least which I have experienced with people that I've worked with, there's always bombardment. Oh, you know what? I want this done. I want this done as of yesterday. I want this executed right now. And in that, what are we leaving with is an experience of of completely non-transparency. We don't know how the other person will deal with it. We want to get our work done. And when that work is not done, you somewhere are yourself stressed because you've committed to somebody up there. And that entire chain goes on. So as a development, maybe just try this. And maybe this is for all our listeners. Look at being proactive rather than reactive. Be it your relationship with your spouse, your children, your family members, your team members. Be it with regards to your performance. Be it with regards to your health. You know, you probably are not exercising enough, you're not eating the right kind of food, you're not taking the proper care of things that you need to take care of. Okay, what can you do to be proactive rather than being reactive? What are the areas of life that you're completely ignorant about? Can you do something proactive in that area of life? So when we as individuals keep evolving ourselves from wanting to be proactive in as many areas as possible, not you don't have to do all of it at one go. If you try doing it one piece by one piece by one piece, that 1% mantra, you just do it one area where you're being proactive, two areas where you're being proactive. You'll suddenly start seeing a lot of peace and harmony because you've been proactive about it. And I think that's my way of developing myself and my suggestion of how people can develop themselves.
Interesting, interesting. Thank you for sharing. And we know the sixth deed is to deliver. You are on your Kilimanjaro or whatever you see as your final desire goal. Can you share with us how you see yourself, how you see people around you, how you see the world at this really top of the mountain?
Uh, I'm going to take the liberty, Cosimo, to answer that a little differently. Okay. Uh, one of the things I read yesterday, last evening, uh, I read it was a Buddha Purnima, Buddhism and the learnings of Gautam Buddha, which are well known across the world. And one of the things that is written in his in the history books, and I was reading something yesterday, was the entire root cause of all the suffering that is existing in human life emerges from the craving, the desire. So hence, I don't know if I desire or if I want to stand at that place of saying that, okay, what is there right now is not perfect, and hence it should be like this. I would probably want to just rephrase that to saying, yeah, this is how it is right now. This is how people are dealing with it. There is workability in life because all of us are doing something which is keeping us moving and taking it to the next level. Is there a scope to evolve and maybe do it in a way that leaves us a little more peaceful, a little more ease and flow rather than being stressed about it? Yeah, if that's a possibility, let's try that. So yeah, I mean, how would I want the world to be? Yeah, can we add a little more peacefulness? Can we add a little more ease and calm? Uh, can we start being a little more compassionate with each other? So all the wars that are happening across the globe that we see, and not only the country wars, okay, the wars within the family, the wars within a human being himself. Every house has a story. Every home has a story with, what's working, it's not working, and this is how it is, and this is what you should be doing, this is what you should not be doing. Those the the whole the whole experience of where people are starting to feel a lot more lonelier while they are a part of a social media, while they're a part of groups, while they are, doing a lot of networking, going to a lot of parties, and hence the research says that a lot more people in this world have started experience or are experiencing the feeling of being alone. They're lonely. There's nobody that they can connect with. Okay, got it. Nothing wrong. That's how it is right now. Can we can we look at it a little differently? Can we do something? And using the whole blameless discernment learning that Shirzad and we learned from the positive intelligence that, okay, let's take that scenario, look at what worked, what did not work, what do we do next? So be it your feeling of being lonely, be it the sense of belonging, be it relationships, be it health, be it work, be it career. Okay, what worked? What did not work? What do I do next? And then try it out. If that doesn't work, all you do is go back to the same cycle. What worked? What did not work? What do you do next? Maybe you try one time, 5 times, 10 times, 20 times. As somebody says, what's the right time to give up? Maybe never. And in in one of the other ways I will put that, if I have to put that in the corporate world, Cosimo, I tell my leaders that if we move the entire organization to the from an to a result oriented approach rather than a reason oriented approach, I think we'll make the world a better place to live. Because a lot of people today operate from reasons of why they can't do a certain thing. Why can't I play the bigger game? Why can't I generate a bigger business? Why can't I build relationship with people around me? Why can't I be healthy? There are reasons, right? What can I do to produce that result? If I can walk for 5 kilometers a day today, what can I do to walk for 5 kilometers and 200 meters? That 200 meters extra. If I can spend 30 minutes in my own learning, can I spend 35 minutes tomorrow? Read that one extra page. If I'm always delivering things on time, okay, can I learn something more with delivering that on time? Can I, if I'm taking 9 hours, can I take 8.5 hours? Can I take 8 hours, 45 minutes? Respect that 15 minutes extra that I can then just go back and maybe reflect. We don't need to, you know, hit the mountain at one go. Can we do one piece by one piece by one piece by one piece? And I think maybe that's the long answer to your short question
Thank you.
on how do we deliver? Yeah, that's how we
Appreciate
deliver.
it. I appreciate it absolutely having your viewpoint. I think that's broadened the horizon for many of the listeners. And let's get to the gift. Tell us,
Okay.
what is the final gift for this podcast for every listeners who stayed with us this time?
Yeah. So, of course, the first gift, uh, which I would love to give people, I'm more than happy to have a 30-minute conversation and maybe all about listening. I'll want to give the gift of listening to all the audience who've heard this conversation and have reached the last. I'll share my calendar, uh, link with you, and you can put that on the text of the podcast. I'll be more than happy to listen to what's working for you. What is it that you're up to in life? Where is it that you want to go? I am just curious, and I promise to create that safe space when I'm listening to you. I promise there will be a non-threatening and a non-judgmental conversation. And that's my promise. That's my first gift. My second gift is there is, for that, for what I spoke about being proactive and moving from result oriented to, from moving from reason oriented to result oriented. I have created a beautiful article, which is the 4E framework of leadership with an assessment. I'll absolutely hand that over as a gift for anybody who reaches out. More than happy to share. Go out and make that change in the space in the world that you are in. And I think that's the biggest contribution that I can make. All I want in return is maybe a smiley saying, yeah, I did it. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you. Can't wait to ask for your assessment and this document. Kalpesh, it was a privilege having you on the podcast. I wish you, your wife, and your children all the best and can't wait to get in touch again. For now, this
Thank,
was Cosimo Marraffa Training Academy and talk to you soon. Bye.